shawarma sandwiches, which is I bought from down the road, but today I didn't. I have to. I stayed here overnight last night, so right to my house. Yeah, I stayed at the house last night. I'm like, I'm not gonna drive and come back 2 hours on the road. Does everybody know who I am? Who are you? I always ask that. So my name is Hadia Rafeh. I've been in this office since 2003. I used to do lending in a different place. I managed a lending branch. And then when we opened Keller Williams, a lot of people start using me, and I felt like I'm always here. So what I did, I moved. I started having a chair, and then I started having a desk, and now office. I had 4 loan officers in one little office because at the beginning of this office, we had this side to be the women's gym. And that side used to be Keller Williams. Some people nodded because they were here. And then, I didn't have enough room, so they kept moving me, and I did everybody's loans here. I know everyone, and the office got bigger and bigger, and and then we extended to this side. So I am at this side corner office. You see when you're walking by the front building, Mortgage Express. Does everybody know what I'm talking about? Yes. Because what I'm saying here is a lot of people, they think it's like, oh, I didn't know this view existed. It's not me, it's the whole office been here since 2003. So I moved it when we opened Keller Williams because everybody was like calling me, and I'm always rushing here to take loan applications. So I'm like, why don't I open an office here and stay here? So that's what I did. I've been in the business since 19, I don't want to make myself too old, but I started my real estate career at age 18. I got my real estate license at 18 and a half. I worked in Century 21 Yarrow for 6 years, 7 years, and then I'm like, I'm worth a lot more than what I'm doing. So I went back to school, finished my degree, and went back to lending. Mistake. So what I'm saying here is like, I've been doing this, and everybody in my department, from Juanita to Rick to Julio to Ismail to David, they've been doing this for a long time. So I'm not hiring anyone who's really not knowing what they're doing, and they're not careful about your files, for sure. The advice we give you, you can always take it and be sure that it is the correct advice. Thank you for everyone comes into me. I work with many of you, and I'm hoping to work with a lot more of you. I'm just here for the KW people. I have business from outside, but you're my main focus. So what I'm going to talk about today, this is the team. David is in the east side. She's from the east side, so she's, whoever is in the east side. Carol, Juanita, and myself. So we all do loans. You can walk in, and anybody can take a loan application, run a credit, and advise you if this client is good or not. Now, a lot of realtors, they call us and say like, what's the rate today? Clients call us like, what's the rate today? It's like, it's a very, I heard on the news this is rate or that rate. So the rates usually are very extremely personal. That's what's my class about. It's very personal. Like that means based on whatever your qualification is, your interest rate is. I start asking questions, this, and this, so we can put it all together to get the right interest rate for that person. So that's what I want to talk about, but I want everyone who's going through a transaction and they have questions about anything. It doesn't have to be, we don't have to be the lending office to help you guys. Walk in if you feel like, another lender's telling you something and you don't understand it, and you want to have better understanding, it's okay. I'm not looking for the business, I'm looking for you guys, to close your transaction. So, credit scores. So I'm gonna talk briefly, and I'm gonna open 2 questions. Questions that's really it's gonna come to your mind. Interest rate's that's not your question. But if you are doing a loan of your own, you can ask question about it. Credit, whatever, what bring credit up and down. Anything comes to your mind, write it down so we can answer it later. So the first thing I'm going to talk about interest rates vary per client. So basically, these are the three main things and more that kind of makes the interest rates go higher or lower and so forth. So basically, credit scores. Credit scores is extremely important. In the old days when I started this business, I did not do no loans for anybody less than 665 score. If you don't have 665 score, you cannot get a loan. I didn't know that they can get a loan if they have 600 FICO score. So now we can go as low as 580 FICO score to stay normal. Okay, that means if they are lower and I could not get them approved, DU approved, and I'll talk about DU approval, we can do manual underwriting. The thing is that would be my last resource. Do manual underwriting, I'll talk about it later. So credit score, 580 to 620. I want you to put these things. 580 to 620, 620 to 640, 640 to 660, 660 to 680. So let's say if you have 665, you're more likely to be around 660. Okay, so basically they go in increments, like, okay, 620 and below, they get this rate. Now that they get this rate, we do have adjustments. Let me go to that. So basically, 3.5%. The rate is a 3.5%. But because you have 620, there's a quarter hit. Because you have a loan of $120,000, there's another hit. So all those adjustments become a higher interest rate. Okay, so does this work? Does this work?
Yes.
Okay, so basically let's say 3.5%.
Change the color. You gotta give another color. There's one on the other side.
Yeah, there's some on that side.
I like those long chalk, like what you said. So I want you to understand how rates work. So you know why your client or yourself got a better or worse rate. Got it? Like yesterday, I got a client, Rocio, she gave me a client, and I'm like, can you, he's fighting about, he's not happy about his rate with somebody else. I'm like, wow, I can give him 3.875 at 5% conventional. I don't see that often. But because of his FICO score, his DTI, even though he's not putting big down payment, I was able to give him 3.875. I was shocked. So all of this makes a combination. I want to kind of tell you how it works, right? So basically, let's say 3.5% interest rate. Okay? Always when we get the rates, we have here a number. Okay? Either positive or negative. -2, +3, whatever. That means when we see this, this is how many points we can work with at 3.5%. Every time we get the rate sheets, let's say at 4, I see 0. Let's say 4, I see 0. At 3.875, I see -1. 3.750, I see -1.5. That means to get this rate, they have to pay 1.5%. To get this rate, they get, and then at 4.25, let's say, +1. That means at this rate, I can give back the client 1% toward the closing costs. So what makes the, let's say you have a credit of 580, and it says we have adjustments in the bottom. Okay, 620 and less. This is more. Like this? No, like this. Let's say 620, less than 620. It tells me here adjustment 0.50. Guess what? That 0.5% is taken out from here. You get me?
Yes.
From the points that's next to it. You get me? So whoever did loans before or had any idea about loans, this is how we work. So that's why, let's say say we have loan adjustments, we have score adjustments, we have LTV adjustments, we have so many adjustments. I wish I can open one of the rate sheets. Like, if I'm gonna do it manually, it takes me half an hour to just make sure I add all the adjustments here and make sure I can give them a rate that they don't have to pay points. So when I say the biggest hit of them all non-owner occupied. When people come to us with non-owner occupied, they are not living in the property, that's the biggest adjustments. 1.5
Wow.
in points, not on the rate. So when I say 1.5 point hit, not here, we do not 1.5 to the rate, we add 1.5 from the points. So the rates, I wish we did actually do a slide on that. Okay, I'm too detailed when it comes into this because that what makes the rate go up and down. Why is my rate? If you have 70-20 and above, I can see a lot of better, it's positive. Sometimes they give you positive. They say the points, 0.25 plus. That means if I'm giving you 4.25, I can give you 1.25 back. It's so much work in the lending business, especially with the rates. So we do have the program where we built in everything. So that's when I take the loan application and I click like get me rates. The system already, I put your income, I put your FICO score, I ran your credit, everything is in there, and I say, okay, now we build everything together where it gives me the rate. Much easier. But some people, they call me on the phone, it's like, what's my rate? I'm like, okay, let me ask you some questions. FICO score, where's that one? Where's the one? Yeah, what's your FICO score?
Next is, yeah.
Oh. Okay, so let's stay at the FICO.
Okay.
Help increase their score. So that's something like I have so many clients, I can get them a loan. The rate's too high, and I look that they are few points till the next one. I usually tell them if you do this, this, and this, and if we can re-pull your credit and you have like 620, you're at least 1/4 to 0.5% better. Now, if they do it or not is on them, but we do kind of walk them through the process. We do have a thing called Wayfinder. So when we run a credit within a month, I can run it through Wayfinder. Wayfinder tells me every little thing that they need to do to get their FICO scores higher. And if they do exactly what they need to do and bring it to me, I do rapid rescore. Rapid rescore costs money. 99% I've been covering it. Till I feel like the client is hesitant, because it costs me money and I have my credit card on file to charge. I tell them, bring me a check. If they bring me a check, they're serious. Sometimes I don't cash the check, I just get it, just to see that, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to really do and cost you $300 and the client's never gonna be coming back. Certain things about clients, 99% of the people in this area, I'm not gonna say 90%, I don't wanna generalize, I don't wanna, a lot of people need help with their credit. We live in an area that people are not aware of how important is your credit. Like I have a guy who makes $150,000 a year and he is late on $29 payment. Seriously? Is there an excuse? I don't think so. It's just like they're not aware how important. I tell them it's not what's your name, it's what's your FICO score. I learned that when I came to the country at 18 years old. Wherever I went, I wanted to book you want to book a room in Vegas. Give me a credit card. If you don't have a credit card, you cannot book a room, you cannot turn your utilities these days, you cannot do anything. What's your FICO score is your middle name. It's your name. So being aware, I always try to kind of tell people, and a lot of my clients very appreciative of like when I enlighten them how important is your FICO score. So we do have a Wayfinder. I pay $10 for each line of credit that I do get results on to help the client get their FICO score. So basically sometimes they tell me Capital One, I just want to let you know, the first thing I ask my clients, do you have Capital One? Capital minimize it or you're late on it, it brings your FICO score, and your FICO score will never go higher unless you pay it off or pay it down or whatever. Every single time. So I see a common thing about Capital One. VA borrower, he has 3 Capital One. He's late on them. Collection accounts, no matter what, I couldn't get him to approved. So I just see Sears, by the way, it's one of the companies that they love to put lates on people's credit. If you breathe, it's like take it out, it's a mess. Because I help, actually, at the beginning of my career, I helped one-on-one to clean people's credit because I want to do a loan. I want to close the loan, so I basically made the calls for them. So I learned how it works. So which the easier bank, which the harder bank, which one will affect your FICO score negatively. So 99%, if you lower your balances on your credit score, usually your the score will get improved. So if you have $5,000 limit and you charge $5,000, usually if you drop the balance, it does improve your FICO score.
Utilization.
Yeah. So every single time I run Wayfinder, I find out that lowering their balances is going to improve their FICO score. I had yesterday, I do that like almost in 70 to 80% of my clients. So I kind of see what's improving, it's just lowering the balances. Okay? The other tip, the minute I meet with the client and they say I was not able to qualify, my second question is like, do you have repossessed car? Repossessed car with a balance, they will never be able to get a normal loan.
Wow.
They have to settle it, they have to pay it off, whatever. Judgments on their credit, it doesn't work.
I have a question. So with the repossessed cars, is that even if it's from 10 years ago and there's still a balance?
As long as there's a balance, you cannot. They have to settle it. I tell people call and try to settle it for less. And whoever, I had many cases that they did, and they did settle it, and it went away. So basically you owe $10,000, they call and say, okay, we'll settle it for $7,000. They send them the $7,000, they have to get a letter on everything they pay. Your clients, if they pay something or you advising, you're the advisor, consultant, tell them to get you a letter saying it's paid off or settled. Without that letter, we cannot remove it off their credit. Okay? So I'm telling you the FICO score is extremely important. Pay bills on time. I always tell people, do you have any open account in good standing? In good standing. What do you mean good standing? It's like, have you been paying anything on time? Oh yeah, I have one that I never been late. Perfect. Let's keep it, let's pay your overdue amount. The other thing I'm gonna tell you, student loans. If a client has student loans, student loans is the highest debt in the country. There's so many student loans balances, and now they are becoming with consolidating student loans. You have those companies where they're like helping a lot of people pay them off. Student loans, if you're late on your student loans, you have to pay your past due amount and wait 3 months, and we have to get something from the student loan that you have paid your mortgage, you have made your payment 3 months in a row on time to be able to get a mortgage.
So if
Don't
you're
miss
on
your
a
payments.
payment plan, you
Mhm.
can still
So don't
get
miss your payments.
a loan.
So if you have overdue amount on student loans, not only credit cards doesn't apply. Student loans, you have $300 overdue amount, you have to pay it. I tell my clients, go pay it, settle your overdue amount, and start making your monthly payment on time. And I need a 3 monthly payment on time before you start buying a house. Judgments is not allowed. So basically, if a client has a judgment, has to settle it. If you have tax liens. Okay, there is federal debt, tax liens, and student loans are federal debt. Till you die, after you die, they're allowed to collect. Tax liens, they go after whatever you have, and the same thing. So those are federal debt. Okay? So I tell people, think it twice before you advise your kids to go and start getting all these student loans. You know what I'm saying? So those are on the credit. Make sure, okay, we're next. Make sure there are no disputes. I wanna talk about disputes.
How about hospital bills?
Hospital bills, as long as they're manageable, like I see 1,000, 2,000, it's fine. As long as it stays medical down there, it's okay. Okay? They don't count it.
But if you're not making payments on the medical debts and they're really high and you've never even gone on a payment plan.
I mean, I never had like somebody who has $50,000 medical debt on their credit.
I've seen several.
But like 2,000, 1,500, 1,700, I run the U and it doesn't say anything about medical collections or whatever. Now, if you have collections and I do have an approval, we have to hit you with 1%. So let me tell you, I wish I did have, do you have any, I don't want to expose anybody's credit, and you know, it's not right. So.
So my 420.
For I mean, listen to this.
Sounds like a cash offer.
So on every credit report, do you have, can you pull any credit reports from my Be in Touch while you're there? So this is your credit, right? At the beginning, number one, you list all the good stuff. And then you see something bold. In bold, you get to a section bolded, that's all your collections or the stuff that you have not paid, like it's zero balance or not zero balance, or you have balances, whatever. So these here, right? Let's say you have collection account from Chase, right? The balance is $3,000 overdue amount. That means it's all due, right? Here, you might not see a payment. I have to charge 1%. That's the new rule. So I hit the client with what? 1% of $3,030, right? In there as if it's a payment. On medicals, I don't. That's the difference. You get me? So, disputes. Oh, so many people are going to credit agencies to fix their credit.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have a friend, he's buying a house. I've been helping him for a year right now, $700,000. And I said, what do you do? Because I did his taxes, and I told him this is what you have to claim on your taxes to buy a house for $700,000. And he's paying like $80,000 in taxes. Because I told him you have to claim like $250,000 on your taxes this year. He's doing it. Guess what? He does credit repair. I'm like, I'm in the wrong business. I do it for free. Why do I get paid for it? Right?
Right.
I do it totally for free. I consult with them for 2 hours, and it doesn't go anywhere because they're not gonna do it. But dispute. So you go to credit agency to repair your credit. The first thing they send letters to the 3 credit bureau. Do you know who is the 3 credit bureau? Who knows? No. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Who knows?
TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax.
I always forget one. I don't know why. So 3 agencies, they report on your credit, right? What they do, the credit agencies, they send a dispute. They dispute the account. So the Experian Credit Union and Equifax, they stop reporting on your credit. They keep the balance, they keep everything, but instead of sending every single month that you're late on that credit, they stop what? They stop reporting. And it says down there, disputed by the credit holder or whatever. That I cannot close the deal. We cannot have anything in dispute at all. And has balance. If it's been disputed and zero balance, I'm fine.